What's up, y'all? We are back out here again with the new Sony RX1R Mark III, and Abe wanted to take some pictures of his stupid new bike. So say what up, Abe.
What's up, everybody?
I'm jealous because this bike is brand new. Let me show it to you real quick. It's over here. It's a 2025 ZX10R, and it's beautiful, okay? And I'm freaking jealous, so I'm hating. But look at it right there. But anyways, he was like, I want to get some pictures. So I was like, this is probably a good opportunity to put this little tiny camera through its paces. Now, I have made a whole 24 hours later first impressions video because I was one of the first people with the RX1R Mark III. And I have some very strong opinions that I'm not gonna talk about in this video because I just talked about it in the last video. So make sure you watch that video after this video. I talked about the price, features, my qualms with it, whether I want one. I do still want one. I'm trying to love it, which is kind of why I'm making this video. But anyways, we'll get to that in this video. I figured this would be a good test for the RX1R Mark III because we're not about to do like a professional photo shoot. I feel like this is how a lot of people would use this camera in a, you know, just chill, casual type situation. You know, you with your friends or something like that, you just want to get some good quality pictures, but you don't want to lug around a huge camera. Well, here you go. This is the tiniest full frame camera you can get. And I also want to see how good this Zeiss 35mm f2 sonar performs that is from 50,000 years ago. So anyways, let's take some pictures. All right, so we don't have a whole lot of time. We only got like a freaking hour and the sun is already going down. I really like this backdrop right here. This backdrop is fire, but old numbskull parked on the handicap logo. So can you move it so that you're not on the handicap logo? Maybe like right in the middle, and then maybe I can like Photoshop those out. I don't know why you would park there. You're not even handicapped. You don't have a sticker? Oh, it's gonna be in the video. All right, right there, right there, right there. All right, now, I'm gonna tell y'all one of the things that's gonna annoy me real quick, and I said this in my first video. I love the idea of how small this is. Like, this is so small and unobtrusive, but not having a screen that I can flip, I just don't understand why Sony would take it out. I don't. I said this in the last video, because it was in the RX1R Mark II. If it was like they never had a camera like this with a flip screen, I would have been like, all right. But it was literally in the RX1R Mark II. And the RX1R Mark II is just about the same size. I mean, this is 10 millimeters lighter. I would have much rather kept 10 millimeters of weight for a flip screen. But neither here nor there. We're gonna start off, we're only shooting freaking JPEG. I'm actually gonna shoot HEIF because there's no RAW support yet because technically the camera is not out. So obviously we're gonna shoot everything wide open at f2 if we can because we wanna see how this freaking lens performs. And let me turn on mechanical shutter. So you know, it's a leaf shutter, but it can only go up to a 2,000th of a second. So we might have to go to electronic where you can go up to 8,000. So anyways, they did add some new creative looks. I don't think we wanna go with like a film look. I mean, this is like an urban, punchy type environment, so I think standard probably looks the best. And you could actually tweak these. They got quite a bit of customization here. You could save them also. So let's do some what you just looking off. All right, when it comes to bikes, and I'm sorry if I'm limping around, my ankle's kind of injured, but when it comes to bikes, you never want to take them from like this angle. You always want to take them from like waist level, or if you can, shooting upwards at them because you want the bike to look epic, right? So, all right, close the visor for me and look down. Now see, I would love to get lower, but I don't have a screen, so I basically have to hope that my position is right and just trust the autofocus and trust the framing. See, this is very annoying. Oh, I missed focus, that's crazy. Maybe it was outside the zone. Let me change the focus zone. Now this does have the AI autofocus just like the A7R5. And the A7CR, which I just want to throw in there real quick, is over $1,000 cheaper than this, and it's the same freaking camera with more, and it's only like 15% bigger, but I digress. Anyways, the autofocus is just like every other Sony camera, which is an amazing thing because Sony cameras have the best autofocus out there. So let me take a couple of these shots. Trying to get this pole out the frame. Pause. You never want to have a pole sticking out the top of anybody's head. We losing the light over here, so let's go over there where the light shards are real quick. Look at him thinking he cute. That was unnecessary. Go ahead, man. All right, there were a lot of people in my last video before we take the next series of shots who said, you know, I was wrong about the price. Oh, Terry, you need to factor in inflation and tariffs. The RX1R Mark II came out a decade ago. Pricing was different. And, you know, I'll acknowledge that. If you want to have that argument about inflation, tariffs, and all of that, then you got to have the same argument about every single Sony camera out there. And we're not singing the same thing about the Sony a7CR, are we? Or the a7R III, or the ZV-E1, or the ZV-1, so on and so forth. So I don't know if I accept that argument that inflation and tariffs are coming into play, because none of Sony's other cameras are being affected by this. We feel like Sony's other cameras are priced pretty fairly. This is the first camera that they've come out with, in my opinion, that is not priced fairly. And I do have to acknowledge that it is smaller, right? So you're taking the same components and shrinking them down. I get that part, but at the same time, we're talking A7CR is what, like $3,400, $3,500 compared to $100 for essentially the same camera with stuff removed, just shrunken down. No IBIS, no flippy screen, same EVF, smaller battery, like all of these things, right? But neither here nor there, I find myself still very intrigued by this camera because I wanted it for a long time. And we also do have to account that this does have a fixed 35mm f2 Zeiss lens. So anyways, I'm done with that rant. So we got the sun right behind you, so this should be a good flare test for this Zeiss lens. All right, we still using a standard profile. And let's pop off a couple of these. I'm at the Photoshop that no parking sign out. Or maybe we leave it. Hold on, it's a scooter right there. Get the scooter out the way, man. All right. All right, so I think this is a good opportunity to try out one of the other profiles. So this is the instant, sun is moving. And let's try out one of the film looks. So now you got, this is film look 1. I'm gonna take 3 of them. So film look 1, film look 2, film look 3. And again, you can customize the film looks. These shots look great though. Really like it when you had looked up. Hurry up before we lose the sun. Visor down, trying to get that sun flare. We might have lost it. Oh, there it is. Y'all really wanna love this camera. Cam Mackey said this best. Nobody needs to buy a freaking $5,000 point and shoot. So this is absolutely a want, right? So the same logic when it comes to like, oh man, it needs this specs versus this cost, like it applies, but when you're talking about something that's just to make you feel good and like inspire you, like sometimes that gets skewed, right? Like, you know, you could argue that a Leica is not worth $7,500. Well, you could say that, but what about the person that's looking for a perfect like point and shoot camera and they want to, you know, they want the craftsmanship and all that? To them, $7,500 is nothing, right? Or it's worth the money. My point is, there will be people who are gonna buy this camera, they're gonna fly off the shelves whether you want to acknowledge it or not. Sony knows what they're doing when it comes to marketing. You know, all of the reviewers might be super critical of it, but the reality is they're gonna sell a crap ton of these cameras. And honestly, I'm not totally against buying one. Like I want one. I'm just trying to overcome these shortcomings, man. But neither here nor there. I think those images looked great out of this camera. Where did this fool go? Why are you over there? That's not a good shot. Now see, this is me thinking I'll be knowing everything. He actually did find a fire spot. We just gonna have to shoot vertically, which is a good way to show off the screen. Okay, so although it doesn't flip out, it does flip horizontal and vertically, so I'm glad that Sony's adding that into all their cameras. And it does have the same menu system as all of the other updated Sonys. I hope this stuff is in focus for y'all. If it's not, my bad. Let's go ahead and pop some of these off. All right, the only issue is the sewers right there. You just picked stupid stuff to park in front of. Huh? Because what I'm trying to do is get the sign, some of the background, and the bridge in the shot at the same time. Photoshop the sewer out. This is his solution. All right, I think Vivid looks best on this one. All right, I'm gonna shoot low to the ground and hopefully we get everything in there. The sewer's ruining it for me. Can you move over a little bit? Come up a little bit more. I would rather have those in there than the frickin' sewer. Can you cut the wheel to the left some? All right. Now, we do have to be mindful of shutter speed because there's no stabilization. You know, I don't like the idea of not having stabilization, but I can get over that. You just have to be mindful that you have to run higher shutter speeds to get rid of camera shake. However, I do have really shaky hands because I drink so much freaking coffee. So on my other cameras that have stabilization, I will go down to a 30th or 40th of a second. But on this camera, I won't. I will probably not go under like 1/100th on this just to be safe. So, you know, that's not a huge deal because I could work around it, but I would have loved to see stabilization. But I think in a body this small, it probably came at the cost of size, right? But $5,000 though, $5,100, man. Y'all should have, hey Sony, y'all be making all types of other precision stuff. Maybe y'all should have figured this out. Here's something else to consider, y'all, ergonomics. This is a give and take, because this is obviously meant to be, why are you peeking in the, you look like a creep coming out the side of the frame. But this is obviously meant to be a tiny point and shoot style. But let me remind you, if you want Sony's accessories, you gotta sell an arm and a leg and all that other stuff. I won't say ergonomics have gotten in the way of me taking pictures. Is it the most comfortable camera to hold? No. But I'm willing to forgive that because it's so tiny. Also, for whatever reason, this, let me open the aperture up a little bit, doesn't, and I said this in my last video, when you're paying $5,000 for a camera, you know, you want it to feel premium. And I'm not saying that this feels cheap, because it doesn't, but it definitely doesn't feel like a $5,000 camera. And when I'm trying to decide if I want this thing or not, that's something for me. Like, do you think this feels like, take your gloves off real quick. Let's see what Abe thinks. All right, how do you think that camera feels? How much do you think that camera feels like it's worth?
Like
1,800. 1,800? Yeah. Okay, so this is somebody, I mean, he likes cameras, but he's not like a camera snob. That feels like an $1,800 camera to you. Yeah, I mean, take that for what it's worth. Again, we do have to acknowledge that there's the size factor. When things get smaller, you know, he know all about this. That the cost does tend to go up when things get miniaturized. But I think, like, for me to accept that argument fully, like, you would have to engineer smaller things. Example, like, you would have to engineer a smaller CPU, and I don't think they did that. I think they took the same chipset that's in every other Sony camera and put it in here. I think they just figured out a way like Lego blocks to fit it all in here without physically making things smaller. All right, the lens does have a macro mode also, so if you turn the front element, macro shows up on the screen, and I'm gonna have to put this in the manual, because again, I need to keep my shutter speed up, which means now I gotta bump my ISO, which is not a huge deal with this sensor. It can handle some pretty good ISOs, but let's take it. This is VV2. How did bird turn on? I figured out why it wasn't focusing on me at first, because I had it set to detect birds. Probably when I was, yeah, no, you a bird, which is probably why I defaulted to it. We supposed to be switching locations, but I'm gonna try this macro on this bird's face. So I never want to be this close to you again. I'm just letting you know that, all right? Look that way. All right, so this is obviously not the fastest lens. It's an old lens, so it does hunt sometimes. Keep on, I know your eyes burning, I don't care. I wish we had stabilization. I could physically see like it moving. I gotta go faster.
Pigeon.
Now you gonna call me a pigeon in front of my audience? That's crazy. Shut up. All right, be still. Try not to look so ugly. All right, that's Vivid. Let's switch to one of the film looks. That's my song. That's the old DMX. With your best friend. Oh, I know what they really want from a ninja. And I will try. And one thing I gotta know, he gonna be a pigeon for life. All right, we found us the last location, the typical gas station pictures. I mean, if you got a bike, you gotta get gas station photos, but we gotta hurry up because it's getting dark and I ain't got time to be playing with these ninjas, okay? But anyways, we're gonna try to get us a couple dope pics here. We got the strong down lighting like we always like at gas stations, and all of the colors and textures. These should come out dope. All right, let's do visor down. Get a close up on this one. Hold on, autofocus is hunting a little bit. All right, there we go. I wouldn't typically take these pictures with like trash cans and stuff in it, but I kind of like how it's adding to like the gritty feel of everything, so we're gonna leave them in there. So it does automatically recognize that we're on a motorcycle, which is good. Now, obviously with these looks, if you play with the white balance and stuff, you can get some pretty creative stuff, but I'm not doing all that right now. So this is the regular film look. Look at me, visor down. Oh dear. You see what I'm saying? My bad, that was so dark. It was a whole lot going on. As you saw, we actually about to get up out of here because it's getting crazy, okay? But the point I'm trying to make is I want to love this camera so bad because it's truly nothing out there like it. You could say Leica this and Fuji this. There's no other full frame camera this freaking small with 61 megapixels, a 35mm f2 lens on here, amazing image quality, photo quality, crazy dynamic range. You know, there's no camera like this. Sure, there's other cameras that come close, but there is no other camera like this. So yes, I want to love it, but it's like everything I love is immediately met with a roadblock. I feel like I said the same thing about the Lumix S9. I do love a whole lot of stuff about it, especially how small it is, but I just don't know if I feel like it's worth this much money, okay? And don't get it twisted. No matter how critical we are of this camera, these are gonna still sell like hotcakes. You wanna know why? Because there are some people who just want this for what it is. And if you're one of those people and you don't care about specs and none of that stuff, and you just want the latest and greatest, or you just want the smallest thing out there, or maybe you just want something small to complement your bigger Sony cameras, forget what everybody gotta say about it. Do you and be happy about it. But I'm just saying, for me, I wanna love this camera so bad, but it's like the things that they took out are making it very difficult. Anyways, yeah, we gotta get up out of here. Make sure y'all check out my first video on this camera. Big shout out to my boy Abe for coming out. We at least got 1 or 2 banger pictures out of it. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we are almost at 100,000 subscribers and I would love for you to join the squad. So again, hit the video links in the description. Until next time, I'm out of here, Tight Shirt Terry Warfield. Piece of chicken grease, much love, y'all. Peace.